answered.
Welcome back to a great Tuesday show.
What's
Look at that.
Rob?
We're going to the Super Bowl, not the actual game. But the
Speak for yourself, buddy.
Are you staying? Well, you have to be here on Monday.
Oh,
Super Bowl
well,
Monday is going to be a
That's
massive
what
show.
private airfare is for, and it's always free if you bet on the right team, America.
Do not. We need you here. Do not bet. In any event, we'll be there. If you want to join us, head to the First Things First Twitter feed for all the details. That looks fantastic.
Can't wait.
News on Brock Purdy. Torn UCL. It's in your elbow. Most likely looking at surgery and a 6-month recovery. Brew, I know loyalty is a key component in all mafias, including the Iowa Mafia.
Yes.
Are you still riding with Brock next year?
Well, look, you mentioned 6 months. If he has to have Tommy John surgery, it could be a year or more. So it's tough. Best case scenario, he has the surgery. He's no problem with it.
Non-Tommy John surgery.
Right. Non-Tommy. He's ready to start for training camp. Even at this point, I think you enter camp. It is a real battle. It's Brock Purdy versus Trey Lance. I was thinking before the injury, you still have somewhat of a competition for the quarterback, but Purdy is QB1, theoretically, and Trey Lance has to beat him out. I think now, because you don't know how the elbow is going to be, I think you enter with a legitimate quarterback, competition, and coach that might even play into the season where you're like, okay, we're going to start Purdy or we're going to start Lance, but if it goes south, you're ready to go with the other guy. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, as terrible as the injury is, this fits San Francisco's whole quarterback process.
Oh my
I mean, it's amazing. They draft Trey Lance. They're trying to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy comes back on a renegotiated contract. Suddenly he has to play because Trey Lance goes down. And then Purdy ends up working out miraculously. And now it's terrible that he got injured, but it gives them an opportunity to look at both guys without really, who's going to criticize them for looking at both guys? Now, if Purdy had played really well in this last game, and even if they had lost, would have been close, it'd be a lot harder to push the Lance competition narrative in training camp than it is now. Right. Now they just see which guy works out and go with that.
All right, I'm going to be a little more pessimistic than the rest of the table.
On Brock?
Yeah. Wild. Who had the most to gain by winning the Super Bowl? Do you remember my list?
Yeah, Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy. I said the guy
I was going to say Nick Wright.
Well, I was fifth.
He was
I was
on
on
the
the list. I was fifth. But
Fifth, only
listen,
fifth.
So, listen, if he had stayed healthy and if they had won two more games, 2 football games away, his life's changed forever. Wealth, fame, he gets to be the starter next year, unquestioned, all of it. Now I'm not sure he's a named starter in the NFL again.
Oh, jeez.
What?
Guys.
There's some bad quarterbacks out there.
I understand. And most of them were, most of the teams with them saw Brock Purdy in the draft. Was like, nah, no thanks.
Guys, wrong about
I don't
the
think
draft.
you can hold the draft against him anymore.
A lot of people saw Tom Brady.
Hold on, but that's guys. The
You
Tom
can't
Brady,
hold it against him.
The Tom Brady. Here's what I can do. I can use historical data to make future decisions. And historical data tells me that the guy who went in the 7th round, when it was like no Mr. Irrelevant has ever done this, no 7th round pick has ever done this, usually it's for a reason. And I'll tell you something else. When undersized quarterbacks get hurt, I don't think it's that fluky. And I feel badly for Brock Purdy as a person. But I also, and all of us, have seen that hit on quarterbacks our whole football lives.
That's not true.
It doesn't always make your elbow tendon snap. It just doesn't. And
Yeah,
if
but
you're
you
telling
never
me,
know how a guy can get hurt.
What?
You're saying because he's
Josh Johnson got hit the
he's
What
same
more
I'm
hurt
telling,
than a bigger-
what I am telling you is that guys that don't fit the athletic profile, guys that didn't look like stars in college, guys who even when they stepped in were not overwhelming you, even though the win-loss record was good, like with Jimmy G, those guys, when they then suffer a major injury to their throwing arm, don't often get like, okay, let's make sure we give him all the rope as possible. Sometimes this is a fork in the career road. Listen, it sucks, and I feel terribly for the guy. But do I think he's going to be the Niners starter next year? Absolutely not.
Did anybody in the world think he was going to be the Niners starter this year?
But they didn't want him to be.
Okay, look, they
But
do a lot of
Shanahan
things that they
spoke
didn't want to
fondly
be,
of
and it
him.
ends up working out for him. But nobody thought he'd be the starter this year. Nobody thought he'd play the way he did this year. And it's hard to say that he'll never get another opportunity.
Right.
Because now there's some mistakes on tape, but we've seen rookie quarterbacks who are #1 overall draft picks.
Sure.
Your friend,
Many of them.
who have struggled mightily when they get their first opportunity to play, and he had some struggles, but it was pretty impressive, especially considering where he came from.
If you're saying we don't know how he's going to come back from the injury and that's why he won't get another, that's one thing. But if you're just saying even if he's fine, even if he's the old Brock Purdy, he doesn't get Taylor Heineke's getting shots. Like Baker Mayfield's still getting shots. And I get it, Mayfield's #1, but
Johnson
still.
just got a
right.
shot.
Like
Hold on, I didn't- let me-
some team
with
will,
10 games.
will look at him and start him.
Hold
A
on.
bad team that needs a QB.
Real quick, it'll take me 20 seconds. Maybe I misspoke or maybe it was misunderstood. I'm not saying he'll never start an NFL game. Again, what I'm saying is, much like Taylor Heineke, much like Baker is the example you used, is in right now, or Josh Johnson has been his whole career, I think it is more likely than not that Brock Purdy is never hey, what's your plan for this season? Our week 1 starter that we feel great about is Brock Purdy. That is not Taylor Heineke's life. That is not Josh Johnson's life anymore. It's not Baker Mayfield's life. It doesn't mean he won't be. Of course he'll be on a roster, and because of quarterback injuries, maybe he'll get an opportunity again. But there is huge benefit to being the name starter. You get all the reps, you get more rope, all those things. Everyone else, they're looking for a reason to take you out again or to put the other guy back in. And I think he's not going to get the opportunity to be the name starter again post
So you
this
think
injury.
Trey Lance is going to be the name starter?
100%.
I'll tell you, it's going to be dangerous as soon as Trey Lance loses a game. And that Brock Purdy,
Well, no,
He's sitting on the
Bailey's,
sideline.
oh my God.
Even if Lance is better in the training camp, but let's say Purdy's not injured, he's fine, but Lance is better in training camp. You still say the 4 games Trey started, he had 1 good game, over 100 passer rating. The 7 games that Brock started, he had 5 over 100 passer rating and 16 touchdowns, 3 picks in high pressure moments. So you don't know if Lance, he might look good in practice. What's he going to look like in a game? You know what Purdy looks like in games.
Who knows what's going on with Jimmy G? Run
Hey,
Jimmy
you
G
know-
back
hey,
on the
He's gonna go
veterans
play for
minimum.
Washington. That's what's
He
going on.
keeps
gonna
he
play for
keeps
Washington? I
I think so.
surfacing.
Yeah, but go ahead. Sorry,
too
I
weird.
interrupted.
I don't want it.
Washington might.
No.
I got some receivers.
No, check in on
Jimmy
Brady's
G's a winner.
podcast with Jim Gray. Stephen A. Smith was on.
Yeah.
Here's the GOAT on the 49ers game. Take a listen.
Injuries play a role in every game, and they, your margin of error changes quite a bit. Obviously, San Fran had, really no chance to compete yesterday. That was tough just to see that happen. But and at the same time, it's the reality of the sport.
You want to see Brady in San Francisco?
Oh, listen, I don't. I would like to see. I think Trey Lance the media doesn't give him the fair shake as far as what it actually was. He played 2 games his rookie year, played well in one, poorly in the other, and this year he played 1 game in a monsoon and then got hurt in the first 2 minutes of the next game. So I don't think we've seen him. But I think Tom Brady needs an all-out frontal assault to get to San Francisco. Full media push. I think he needs to tell John Lynch I'll play for the minimum. I think he needs to make it clear I want to go home. I think it needs to be like, hey, you can maybe doubt a lot of things about me. Here's what you don't have to doubt, that I'm going to get hurt. Never, got hurt once in my entire career, ever, never missed a game otherwise.
Well, you haven't seen Shanahan's blocking
That's what you
schemes
need.
either.
Okay, yeah. I think that of all the teams, Coach, that need a quarterback, I think the only one that Brady could get to a Super Bowl with is this one. I don't think he's a force multiplier anymore, except for cerebrally. And I think that the rest of you go to the Jets or the Titans or the Raiders, I don't think they can get to a championship. I think the Niners could. I think for Brady, it's the one spot that makes sense. I wouldn't do it if I were the Niners because I'd want to see Trey Lance play. But for Brady, I think it's the only spot he should be targeting.
Yeah, I think it would be a great ending to a fairy tale career.
Really?
For him to go home, be able to play for his team. I do think he'd have to take significantly less money to go there, I would imagine. It'd be a great situation for San Francisco in the sense that if they do have the 2 young quarterbacks, who better to mentor them than them? I don't see a great system fit because Tom's always been a stationary offensive guy, where San Francisco is shifting, motioning, multiple formations.
So could he do that? Because Shanahan's not going to switch his system. So could Tom do it?
Well, could he do it? Yeah. Will that be the best version of Tom? No. if you're going to go get a quarterback who's established and who's very effective, you do what they do. And look, having Brett Favre, we adjusted a lot of things because why go get Brett Favre and ask him to do something he's not good at? He's really good at something. That's what we're going to do, and we're going to give him the best chance to be successful.
I think they should go after him because Kyle Shanahan, for all his, all the accolades he gets, he needs a Super Bowl. And I'm sure in his mind, he's like, man, I got to win a Super Bowl. We saw what happened when he was the OC with Atlanta, and they blew the 28-3 lead. We saw what happened in 2019 when they blew the lead.
Yeah, blew it
to Brady. Right.
Brady.
We saw what happened with the Chiefs. They're up 10 with 8 minutes left. He seems to get tight at times in big games. This Sunday.
Yeah.
You talked about it, right? Not challenging the Devontae Smith call. So you got that, and this team is built to win now. It's not like, oh, we got Trey for a while, we got Brock for a while. Kittle's been out for significant parts of a season. Debo,
Christian McCaffrey,
Bosa. Like, these dudes need to win now. I bet you if Brady went to the Niners, they would be a favorite in the NFC. Would you agree with that?
The Niners were my pick in the NFC this year, quarterback unknown. I knew nothing about Trey Lance and picked him to win the NFC because I believed in the system and the talent.
It's a one-year thing. Go get him, I think.
I don't see it. Fox Bet has Raiders.
He's not
49ers
going to New England. Will you stop?
Well, no, San Francisco is just too far away from everything. That's the truth.
Not too far away from his house.
Right.
The house that he grew up in?
Yes.
What does that have to do with it?
He loves